What is up, my dudes? It's Pac-Man here, and today I'm bringing you guys my personal quick peeking and leaning guide that a ton of you guys have been asking for in the comments. Quick peeking and leaning are super important skills when it comes to higher level Siege, so being able to perform the basic movements is definitely a must. With that being said, I want to make a few quick disclaimers before we start. Number one, I am definitely not the best quick peeker out there, and nor do I claim to be. However, I do believe I understand the fundamentals of it, and I've been using it in my gameplay for as long as I can remember. Number two, I personally believe that having a deep understanding of the fundamental principles of Siege is far more important than being able to land a cool quick peek headshot. However, with saying that, quick peeking can be a super useful tool, especially for information gathering, so it is 100% worthwhile learning. So as always guys, if you're new to the channel, I would ask that you please consider subscribing. I post out a brand new video every second day, and I am super committed to helping you guys improve in whatever way I can. So if that sounds like the kind of thing you're looking for, please smash that sub button. It literally means the world to me. But without wasting any more time, let's get straight into it. Alright guys, the first thing I wanted to cover off today was something I talked about during my common mistakes video, and it basically means that you should never be pre-aimed as you strafe. This is a very slow way to peek a corner, okay? And the same would go for this side. You never want to be pre-aimed taking a corner. You're just a lot slower, right? What you want to do is you want to lean into the corner. Like that, right? Lean into it. Rather than... You're just much faster. I've did a pretty detailed breakdown in my most recent video, Common Mistakes, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. But just keep that in mind that for every type of peek that I'm going to show you throughout this video, I'm always going to assume that you're leaning into the strafe. Okay? Alright guys, I guess the next thing I want to touch on is my keybinds and controls. So I just use standard WASD, and then I use Q and E for my lean buttons, same as standard default keybinds. I use crouch with C, and then control for my prone. Okay, I also use hold to lean, so toggle, sorry, not hold. So toggle is basically where I don't have to touch it, and it will just stay in that lean position. Whereas there's another setting where you have to hold it for it to stay. So as soon as you let go of it, you'll come back. Okay, so I use the standard toggle. So I just want to mention something on keybinds really quick. Keybinds are definitely preference based. I would definitely recommend just finding out what's comfortable for you. And going with that, you don't need to copy anyone else's keybinds or settings just so, because, you know, they play good. What's more important is comfortability, right? So being comfortable in your keybinds and practice on them keybinds. And over time, you'll develop your own little techniques, right? So I don't think keybinds play as big a part as a lot of people on the internet seem to think. It's really just practice. Alright guys, so as I see it, there's three different types of leaning. Really, there's two types, then with one kind of added variation to them. The first is going to be where you strafe with E and D, so you're strafing right, and then to counter that strafe, you're gonna rip it back with Q and A. Right? That's probably the most commonly seen type of strafing. It's probably the easiest to do as well, to be honest, and it's pretty straightforward, right? How I personally do it on default keybinds is I use my middle finger to hit both E and both Q. There's really not much more to it, right? So you're just ripping it back and forth. You can get faster with it over time, and so all I'm doing is this, like on a slower scale, right? You see my middle finger is bouncing between the E and the Q. And I'm just lifting my ring finger and my index finger up.
10 seconds remaining.
Alright guys, so the second type of quick peek is a little bit more advanced than the first. So with the first, again, just to cover it off, you're going to lean out with E, and then you're going to come back out of it, counter lean to the other side, right, with the Q. In this style, it's basically just like a single peek. Right, I'm going to lean and out with the E, and then I'm just going to come back in as I strafe, right? So I'm going to lean out like that, and then I'm going to come back in like that as I strafe, right? So on fast motion, it will look like that. Right. The reason that I like this lean the most is because, and why I use it the most, is I think it's the most powerful for actually taking a shot. Right, so let's say if I wanted to see if there was someone holding a cheeky tight corner right there, what I would do is I would lean out like that, and then I would move in for the kill, right? I just find it a little bit easier to readjust my aim than if I was to lean out like that. Still doable, but I just use the single lean for when I'm trying to take a kill like that. Now on the left side, I do it a little bit differently. So what I do on the left side is I basically lean still with my my middle finger, but then I come back with my ring finger. So I lean out with the middle finger and come back, so like that. All right, if we're going for this corner. All right, so I switch them back to front. Why I do that, I'm not sure. It's just the way that my muscle memory works. All right, and then the final type of peek is kind of a combination of the two. It's when you just kind of add in a crouch to it, right? You can do that from being crouched and then out like that. Or you can do it from standing, like crouch into the corner. And on the right side, for me to do that, what I do is I basically just fat finger my D for strafe and C for crouch. And then I do the same thing to come back out with the middle finger. So I go like that. All right, guys, because of my default keybinds, I really do struggle to pull off that same peak on the left-hand side. So what I can do instead is I sort of just like kind of spam it if I want to do like a mixture of a crouch peek. But most of the time I'll just be doing my standard peaks like that on my left. So it is a bit of a weakness of mine. I'd love a bit of advice on how I can fix it up. Okay, guys, the next thing I want to cover off is what are the actual practical uses of quick peeking. Like I said at the start of the video, I'm all about fundamentally solid siege, more so than flashy tricks. So quick peeking, don't get me wrong, quick peeking is powerful and you should have it in your arsenal because it is going to help. But what you want to do basically for quick peeking is you want to use it to gather information, right? And the first thing you need to think about is which corners of the room are you trying to scout out first, right? So let's say you're pretty confident there's no one there, so we're going to check out right there first, and then we're going to check out a little bit deeper on the table, then we're going to check out in the doorway, and then we're going to check out that corner there. So what you want to do each time, each place you're trying to check, you're going to want to kind of get yourself lined up, right? So almost be squared off with that place that you're trying to check, right? Because if I don't do that, let's say if I want to check this corner and I come in like this, so much more of me is being exposed. Even when I'm standing here, you can probably shoot me in the leg, on the arm, right? So what you want to do is you want to try and get yourself lined up so that you can take the corner and clear it, right? And then you move to the next one a little bit wider, clear it. All good. Now we're going to clear the door, so I'm going to line myself up with the door more so. And then we're going to check the other end of the door a little bit wider, and then finally we're going to check the corner. And you see, look where my crosshair is placing now compared to at the very beginning, right? It's because we're lining ourselves up with the places that we want to check as we go. Okay, same thing here. If you want to check for Eiffel Tower or that little corner there, the first thing up you would do is line up your crosshair, and then we want to check a little bit deeper for the door, and then even as wide as this corner here, right? So that's the use of quick peeking. As much as it looks cool, and you'll see it in all the highlight videos of people, you know, doing these like these flick shots and stuff, like they are great, but realistically that's not what you're using quick peeking for. You're using it to gather information when you can't, when you have to face check, okay? And that can be as a defender, or it can be as a, you know, a later in the round attacker, or whatever it is, okay? So you want to use it for when you're trying to actually gather information. And sometimes that means that, let's say if there was someone in this corner, you peeked out, sometimes that means coming out with a pre-fire and you know, getting a cool looking kill. Sometimes it means running away with that information. But the most important part is getting the information. And that's what quick peeking is all about. Okay, guys, so the main things to remember when it comes to quick peeking is you want to be, number one, you want to be trying to gather information with your quick peeks. Number two, whenever you are taking a shot or a quick peek, when you are peeking, you want to be leaning as you strafe, right, and vice versa. You don't want to be leaned into it and peeking like that. It's not fast enough, or it's not as fast anyway as something like that. And then the final thing is you want to have your crosshair lined up with wherever you're trying to check, okay? So if we're checking for Eiffel Tower, have the crosshair lined up for Eiffel Tower. So especially if you do find someone there, it's quick and easy to just come back out and fire while you know where they are. Alright guys, so one thing I forgot to actually mention during this video, I noticed it when I was editing, is you want to just make sure you're changing levels when you're actually going for that kill shot, right? So let's say if we're going for a cheeky old Eiffel Tower here again, and I peek out again, make sure he's there. This time I'm going to come out crouched, right? Because when you think about it from his perspective, if he's seen someone flick their shoulder out a couple of times there, twice head height, he's gonna have his gun ready for my head, right? So he's gonna be aiming directly at head height. So to try and avoid that, what you want to do is, yeah, give him the head, you know, give him that head height, but then come out firing at crouch level, right? And what you can also do then is come out firing at crouch level, and then come out of crouch level back to standing, and then like kind of counter strafe. So that's how I'll take a gunfight like that. Sometimes, right? So there you have it, guys. Hopefully that all made sense and has given you a better understanding of both how to quick peek and why to quick peek. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not a huge fan of fancy tricks, but quick peeking is something that is super important to understand, and it does play a pretty pivotal role in most given games. But as always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out more than you could ever know. And without wasting any more of your time, I will see you in the next one. Peace.